Hey guys, it's Lockie or Faure here. So basically what I want to do today is go through how to create space in a mix. And really all I'm going to be talking about is just EQing the living shit out of things. So basically I've got a track here that I've been working on for a little while. It's been hanging around for ages, but I've decided to finally finish it off. So basically it's your sort of generic big breakdown synths, you know, make all the girls feel all tingling and whatnot, and then just a big fuck off drop. And really I think it's a great example of, you know, that I've got as a project to really go through and show some of the younger guys how to cut out all the shit you don't need in a mixdown. Which is really the hardest thing for a lot of us to do, is go, do I need this? What, you know, do I need this? Do I need that? Blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just going to go through it quickly. So I'm just going to let it play through so you hear the track and understand what it is. Here we go. So basically that's the main idea of the track. It, you know, carries on for a bit more, gets a bit more intense, and, you know, some snares come in. And I'm basically pretty much just ripping off any Danik track because it's pacey as fuck and I like that. And then just basically does a repeat, a few more things come in, but not too important. But what I want to go through is just how to fucking make shit, how to, I guess, create space in a mixdown. And so I think this is a great example because, you know, it's 63 channels, you know, a few of those are effect channels and whatnot, but it's big enough that if you're not paying attention and you're not EQing properly, you can make this thing sound like shit, which I believe I made it sound somewhat palatable. So here we are, you know, so we'll go through the big breakdown synths first. So this is a group of 4 synths, and then there's 2 other top layers and a bass layer. So this is, that's really the main synth sort of group, I guess you'd say. And so it's, you know, got a fairly, you know, intricate melody or chord progression. And so, you know, there's a lot of shit moving everywhere, and if you don't cut properly, it's going to sound like dildos. So on this specifically, it's like this distorted piano, like it's just slightly overdriven, and funnily enough, it is, it's slightly distorted. What I've done, so basically this FabFilter Pro Q, it's what I fucking live by. It's great. And the reason why I love it so much is you click that headphone icon and you can hear what you're cutting out. And so you can hear what's been cut out. And once you release it, you can basically hear what the sound is. And so I'm cutting out a bit of low end, just because it doesn't need to be there. And what a lot of people need to get into the habit of is thinking, so creating it, when they create an instrument, think, what is this bringing to my track? And really a lot of kids seem to be going, oh fuck, it needs to be fat, I can't. And they put in something and like, yeah, it's fucking juicy as, and they haven't really sat there and gone, what is this meant to do? Why is it here? And if you can't really come up with an answer for that, I would say get rid of it and just try find something. Try think of what you want, and then put it in and cut out what you don't need, and also add what you do need. Now I do a fair bit of subtractive EQ work, but then again, through some of these, you know, rave layers in the drop, which I'll cover in a moment, I also boost the high end of them quite heavily, but we'll get into that in a second. So yeah, so it's piano. You know, I could even cut out a bit more. So let's cut out to about there. Because it doesn't need any bass. It's a fucking piano. It's not a bass guitar. Let's go to this and let's see what I've cut out. I've cut out a fair bit. So you can hear the bass that's been cut out. It doesn't need to be there. I've got a bass line to do that work for me. And let's listen to this. So really, my synths aren't too affected. Well, you know, by themselves. Once they go into the group, I can't really recall. But really, it's just cutting out the arse. Let's go to the group. Here we've got a fair few things happening. We've got some sort of compressors, sort of squeezing them all together. So you see that my compressor's not doing a whole bunch of work. It's just sort of pressing them down a tiny bit. Then I've got a reverb behind it. So let's listen to. Hey, turn off. A reverb just gives them this space, and you know, in the club, it echoes through a bit more and sounds all pretty and stuff. And I've got a couple sidechain compressors. So you'll see up here I've got Sidekick and Sidekick 2. Now these play at different times, and just sort of, you can be creative with sidechain compression. And the reason why I have them sidechaining off of, so you can see that the sidechain channels that they're, the channels that are affecting the sidechain are actually muted, so you can't hear them in the track. And the reason why you do that is basically you can change how it sidechains. You can change the release just from the kick. And also you can have it sidechaining when there's no kick playing, which is a nice thing to do. And you can have multiple kicks without having to reroute the sidechain every fucking time, which would be a pain in the butthole. So where are we? Break synth group. And I've got like a bit of a filter happening. That happens here. And so that starts opening up, and it's like, oh my god, here comes the big pretty synths and shit. And I've got a fucking ping pong delay. Wait, just fucking go down and stay down. Whore. Yeah, so, and then at the end, boom, cutting out more and boosting the fuck out of the top end. So really all that's doing is just creating like a really high-end sparkle. It's not even a tone, it's just like white noise almost. And the reason why I want that is because I think it sounds pretty. And I've cut out. That just sort of resonates badly. I don't like it. And what else? Really, that shit is ear piercing, and that'll fucking kill you in a club. So around this sort of like 6 to 10k sort of mark, if you ever sit there and you're working on a track and it's like, fuck, this thing is bright as hell, I would look into ducking out that. That's where it's really gonna hurt your ears. So that's basically that group. And I've got these things. So that's filtered. You know, so the filter's doing the EQ work, because really a filter is basically just an EQ. And I've got this thing. Yeah, so where are we? Up here. Hey. There's no bass in it, then the same probably for this. Oh, Lockie, you bad person. Alright, let's cut that out. See, I got lazy. So 215 I felt was, you know, just, and blah blah blah. So we'll go through, you know, that's pretty much all the same, and it's just cutting out what you don't need to basically give the arse and you know, any part of the frequency spectrum space, and that's all everything should be about, is just creating space. So, like, let's say we look at a Wolfgang Gartner track, Girl and Boy. It's dirty as fuck, but everything's cutting through. You know, that track is very kick heavy, and he's just cutting out all the bass out of a lot of things, just to let that kick really punch through. And that's what a lot of people, including myself, I've still got a fair bit to learn, need to get into the habit of. But now we'll get into the drop. You fucking drop, lad. So basically, I've got this. And then, sorry, and then a few rave layers. So, and if we look at those, basically what's happening is they're cut to all fuck. They're, you know, I've got a bit of reverb after them, so. And this thing's great. This is from Flux Audio, and it's basically just like a stereo spreader, and it just fucking pushes thing either side. It's so good. Now I'm limiting them to fuck. Who even needs dynamic range? And they're side chaining, and this EQ. Now this is fairly interesting. Well, not interesting, but it's something a lot of people should look into. So here's my kick, right? This is the main drop kick. Bom, bom, bom. Now if we press hold on, so Vox and Go span, it's a great little frequency analyzer. Now if we press hold, we can see where the peak is. Now we're looking at about 59, and so that's basically where I'm cutting. So on the kick, hey, fucking which way? On the kick, I'm bringing that down a touch. It was really pushing up a bit too far. So here we go, 59. And on all of these, I'm cutting out 59 stupidly heavy, because it just doesn't need to be there, and it's just going to conflict. And I want my kick to punch through. I want it to knock down walls. So yeah, on basically everything, you know, I'm pushing up the high end a fair bit to really give it some sparkle. But I'm cutting out anything that'll conflict with the kick. You know, this is Zapsort. This is really the main thing that does all the work. And even it's just, I'm like, I want my kick heavy, and that's pretty much what I've got now. And then I've got my sub bass line. And it's doing the same thing. So it's cutting out, and we'll turn off the EQ. And you can hear just how fucking like woofy that sounds with that EQ turned off. And that's just gonna be overbearing in a club. You know, if you ever go to a big club and they've got some big fucking 18-inch cabinets just lining along the bottom of the stage, that's just gonna overpower everything. And you can't have that. Well, not you can't, but you probably don't want your sub bass to just, you know, burn shit. So yeah, it's all about finding a nice equilibrium. And yeah, so basically that's really the main sort of thing I want to go through, is just creating space. And, you know, doing that with subtractive EQing is pretty much the best way. Also, you know, stereo spreading. So as I was pointing out, this Flux Audio stereo tool is great for just sending shit to either speaker and not having it come straight down the middle. And even, what is it? It's probably like the dirtiest fucking little distortion plugin ever, but it worked for this. And so you've got a stereo turbo, and what it does is that's it's super straight down the middle, and you can push it a bit wider, and it really does widen up the fucking signal, which, you know, is great. Now I'll go to the sub bass just quickly. I just remembered a point I wanted to go through, is stereo imaging, especially for sub bass. So you'll see I've taken out pretty much all stereo bass for the sub. And so I've been told to do that because it can fuck up speakers, you know, mainly club speakers. But why I do it mainly, I don't know if there's any other professional, well, not professional, other technical reason other than this, but I feel and I find it just does create more room in your mixdown. And that's what everyone's after. They want more room in their mixdown, but being punchy and loud as fuck. And yeah, so that's what I've done. I've just gone, I don't need that there. It's not bringing anything. And that's what kids, I can't remember if I've said this before, not just kids I should say, but that's what people need to get in the habit of, is going, what is this instrument, effect, sound, vocal bringing to the track? Does it need bass? If not, get rid of it. Does it need, you know, a real big fucking push at 8K? No, let's duck it right down so it's not so fucking ear piercing. And that's just something I'm finding, you know, I'm having to tell a lot of kids, especially on these forums. Now, I love the Uberjacked forum, and I do try to help there. I'm a bit of an opinionated prick, but that's me. Now I want to go through what I've got on my master. So, where are we? So I've got a slight compressor, just very, very slightly, just squeezing things together. Now I try not to do a whole bunch of stuff on my master, because I feel if your mixdown's not fucking tidy as hell, your master's just going to be polishing a turd. Now here we go, I've got some EQ work here. So I'm taking out, fucking slut. So I'm taking out that real woofy sub bass. I'm giving it a bit more sort of mid-range, and that's because I find some of my tracks do lack a bit of mid-range, and the whole track could use a push around there. Like, I'm not going to go through to, you know, every 63 channels and just push up a mid-range. I might as well just do it on the master. So stereo bass I've cut out because it doesn't need to be there, and I'm also ducking around this 9K. Because that shit's ear piercing as fuck, and on the master, just giving it a bit more fucking sparkle, if you will. So that's that, and I'm pushing up. So remember, we went back to this 59 hertz shit. So I'm pushing up 59 hertz, just a little bit on this kick. So, you know, like 4 dB. And I'm limiting it, so, you know, basically, I want a very transparent limiter, and ergo, I've just picked this little transparent preset and just pushed it, and it works for me. It sounds nice and tidy. Then I've just got a couple of, basically, analyzers. And basically, this is from Sonalxis. It's just an RMS meter, really. So, you know, I don't seriously believe in the loudness war, and I'm not trying to make my track as loud as possible, but I do want it to be at a reasonable standard. Now, most tracks are sort of around, you know, -4 to -3 RMS. You know, so I can sort of sit around -5, and then I might get to, like, you know, here I'm sitting at -2.7, but that's probably the peak level, because I've been resetting that as I was just going then. So the track is loud enough, and when you listen to that versus, let's go Danik, because really that's who I'm trying to rip off. I'm loud enough. I'm confident with that. Yeah. So guys, I don't know how much of that you guys are going to take in, or how much of it was just rambling bullshit. But if I did help you, sweet. If I didn't, sorry for the waste of time. Anyway, have a good one.